How would you answer our poll question of the day, football-wise, Albert? The quarterback recently drafted in the top 5 in the NFL. Which one's going to have a better 2021? The choices are, give them to him, Chris Brockman. I know this is your job. I don't mean to, I should stay in my lane, to use that phrase. What do you have over there?
Yeah, better 2021, Albert. Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Tua, or Joe Burrow?
Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Tua, or Joe Burrow? That's a good one. That's a really good one. I want to say Joe Burrow because I think he's the best player. But I would say like Tua probably has the best situation of those 4, right? Like the most infrastructure around him, the most built-up team. So, I mean, give me Burrow just because I think Burrow is pretty special. But, I mean, man, that's tough. That's a really good question because I think Sam is going to play better, too, in Carolina, and mostly because I think they're going to ask less of him. Like they're going to put it on Christian McCaffrey to carry that offense, and so Sam Darnold's going to be able to play in a way I think that's different than he's ever played before.
Well, I mean, the question about Tua that, we had Jeff Darlington on in hour number 1 to talk about his report that Brian Flores felt compelled to address Charles Robinson's Yahoo report that Deshaun Watson was on their radar screen and they were front runners to go get him in a trade that eventually didn't happen. That he felt compelled to address his locker room on that Tua's the guy. What is the evaluation of Tua? And I'm mystified as to why the Dolphins would be willing. Like, obviously, Deshaun Watson with no baggage, that's a no-brainer. But to kick the tires on trying to get Watson now without even sending Tua away in that trade, I don't understand it. I don't get it. What is the evaluation of Tua from what you're hearing based on this preseason and training camp?
Yeah. So, like, I think I'm going to reference what you're insinuating here is that if they traded for Deshaun, Tua wouldn't necessarily be a part of that deal to go to Houston. And I think that my understanding of that is the driver there wouldn't be the Dolphins so much as it would be the Texans. And this is something that I think is kind of an interesting piece to the whole idea that Deshaun Watson could be traded and whether or not it happens, now in October, November, December. I was told pretty strongly by several people not to assume that some other team's quarterback is going to be viewed by the Texans as an asset. And so, I think, what was conveyed to me is Nick Caserio, the general manager there, might rather have an extra draft pick over a Tua, a Drew Lock, a Sam Darnold, or a Jalen Hurts, who'd be the 4 quarterbacks with the teams that, I think have been most connected to Deshaun over the last few weeks. So that's, where that is. The evaluation of Tua, I think the jury's still very much out. And I mean, I think just having as weird a rookie year as he did, where they put him in, and generally once you put your first-round quarterback in, you don't take him out, yet the Dolphins wound up pulling Tua back out. I think the question really with Tua is, he was just okay last year, and physically there's nothing that really stands out about him. And the really interesting thing about this, Rich, is, go back and look at the last 10 years of quarterbacks who have come into the NFL, right? Like the first-round quarterbacks have come into the NFL. How many guys have come into the NFL where you could look at them and say there's not something special about them physically, whether they're an incredible athlete, have a huge arm, they're physically huge. Like the guys who've really made it, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, but the guys that have really flashed, Carson Wentz, how many of those guys aren't special physically? And I'm not talking about the Bradys of the world because it's a long time ago. I'm talking about guys who came into the league over the last 10 years. How hard is it to find? It's really hard. Jared Goff, Derek Carr, those guys made it, but were those guys ever considered top 10 players at the position? Right? And if that's what you're shooting for and you're looking at it and you're questioning, can Tua get there? Not can he be a competent quarterback, can he get there? And then the opportunity to go out and get a Deshaun Watson comes along. I think that's sort of part of the evaluation. It's not so much that Tua isn't going to be able to get out of his own way as an NFL quarterback. It's, how far are we going to be able to really take this with him?
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.